easier?
I think it's easier just because we know what's going on a little bit earlier. We have more time to work through the stuff.
Mm-hmm. I would say the most difficult part for us is we kind of have to go game by game because there's so many injuries and it's a big 11 game slate. So we'll try to be as quick as possible with this video. But should we just do that? Start with Detroit versus the Pacers?
I think so. I think that's the best way today, yeah.
Okay, so we'll start with that.
So with Detroit, we know Marvin Bagley's in. Last time we saw Wiseman and Duran start, and they both kind of split minutes, but then they kind of rotated out throughout the game. With Bagley back, it's a little bit tougher for both of them. Both their prices are up too. I had it set here.
Yeah, just real quickly on that as well. Like, I don't think we can really play any of those bigs too much. Maybe sprinkle them in, but with all three of them there, we kind of just see them split the time, and it just kind of seems like a stay away because of that.
I agree. Omarui and Livers are out, so it might create a couple more minutes for a few other people. But if we're playing anyone in this game, I think we're interested in Jaden Ivey and Killian Hayes mostly.
Yeah. And Ivey's price has gone up there a little bit too because he's been, pretty strong play.
Yeah, he's been great. Strong player.
Yeah, I mean at 9 and 10% probably, I don't know, that's probably right? Like we're not gaining much there.
Yeah, I mean, if it's kind of like I talk about a lot, if he ends up in my lineups, I don't mind it, but he's not someone I'm going out of my way to make sure I have.
That makes sense. All right, so let's just go ahead and switch up into the Pacers. Just a reminder, if you guys have any questions, let us know in the chat, and we'll get to those as they come in. But yeah, Indy. So we know that they're going to be without Halliburton, Chris Durante as well, but the big news is that TJ McConnell, game time decision, Smith, game time decision, and Miles Turner currently a game time decision. And I would say those are somewhat significant because if those players are out, that would open up some potential like strong plays, maybe in Isaiah Jackson or something like that.
Yeah, I'm going to try not to assume too much on the uncertainty since we know a lot of news and a lot of it's questionable, but I don't think Miles Turner plays if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Isaiah Jackson's a good price. Jalen Smith, he's a lot more expensive. I don't know that either of them are going to be much priority. Even for this whole team, I don't know. There's a lot of value later, so there's some plays here, but I don't know that we want to target anyone. I mean, no one's pulling ownership, and I don't think they necessarily deserve it. So they're low owned if you want to get to someone here, but like McConnell, Mathurin maybe. But I think it's kind of thin.
Yeah, I would almost say like if all three of those players that are game time decisions are ruled out, then all these players are probably $300 too cheap. And, there's a slight edge there if their ownerships are still this low, but that's really the only way we would be going out of our way to get to those players.
I think so.
Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the Miami versus Washington game. We'll start out with the Heat. So the Heat are going to be without Bam, Butler, Hero, and Kyle Lowry. Kevin Love, game time decision. Strauss, game time decision as well. So we're looking at Cody Zeller, Gabe Vincent, Depot. Where are we looking at there?
So when Cody Zeller started last time, I wasn't sure what to do with him. He pulled some ownership. He was min price, and he played all like the minutes that we would want. His price is up today, so I'm not sure that we can get there again. There's going to be a lot of good centers today.
Okay.
As for the rest of the team, I mean, someone's going to handle the ball. Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Caleb Martin. If we get to these guys in that like mid 4K range, there's probably someone here. I mean, they're all pulling ownership right now, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get news where their ownership's going to come down and they are the first game. Yeah. And so on a lot of these videos, I talk about we want to save spots for later, or we already have the good value, so it's not as important to save. Today, I think we want to save spots for later more than play the early guys. But these guys are all good prices, and they're going to play probably 30 minutes, Gabe Vincent and Max Strus anyway.
Yeah.
So they should be in your lineups a bunch, but just be careful because we're going to have value later that we probably won't know about at lock.
Yeah, so the model here is saying that Depot is a better value and he's not coming in too chalk. Do you kind of just agree with how this is being valued right now, both for FanDuel and DraftKings? Price point considered.
So with a lot of teams today, it's just going to be a minutes projection thing. I'm sure a lot of the sites have different minutes projections.
Yes.
Like we have Victor Oladipo for 29 minutes. Is he going to play 29 minutes? He might. Everyone's out. But just know that if you're relying on the model with these values, then you think that these minutes projections are pretty correct. And I mean, I can't say that they're not. They seem kind of high, 35 minutes, 33 minutes for these guys. But
yeah,
I mean, they're good plays. If they end up in my lineups, like I said, I'm going to try to be careful with them, but I'm going to play them.
I would say that's kind of a very good point that you made up. Like yesterday with Isaiah Mobley, I was pretty much saying no, those minutes are wrong. Like just because it's very difficult to project minutes at this stage, and it's just like sometimes at this point in the season, you just need to put your foot down and say that's wrong. I'm just going to go with what I think is going to happen, and I think that's where there's a big edge too, because obviously all the data is going off of other data, and then that's pushing a lot of the ownership. So if you can kind of gain that edge by literally just doing what we're doing and finding the edge, that's huge. So I just wanted to kind of reiterate that is absolutely true. Like if you think an owner or minutes report is too high, then adjust for that. If you think it's too low, adjust for that, because that is where you're going to find the biggest edges on slates like today.
And just one thing with that Cleveland team yesterday, Danny Green and I don't know the other. Is it Isaiah Mobley?
Yeah,
bench. They were both like 0.5% owned, and they both were the best plays on the slate yesterday. That's probably going to happen with someone today, but don't think that like, oh man, we didn't get this guy. Like, how did we not see this? It's too random to predict like that. They completely overperformed yesterday, so don't think that because you missed them or something.
Mobley underperformed. I was hoping for 40.
Okay, you're right. Danny Green overperformed. Mobley did what he was expected to if he got the minutes, but
that one was weird though, because like everyone that for Cleveland that I kind of thought would go off actually did go off, and it was like it was very strange that happened. Like they kind of just dominated that game. Like Rubio went off, Lopez went off, Mobley went off, and Osman went off. It was just strange that like you would think in a game like that maybe 2 out of the 4 would go off, and it was just strange that they all hit. Like that is not going to happen. That was really lucky, Just I don't know. That was just a weird game. And Orlando, that was weird. We're gonna get to Orlando in a second here.
Yeah, just know there's nothing we can do to predict this stuff.
No.
We can try, but it's very random right now.
And a lot of the times, and we'll get into Washington here, we can be right on a player and then their prices jump up. And I think like Johnny Davis would be a good example of that. A week ago, 2 weeks ago, we were kind of talking him up as a play. Now his price point is way too high. I don't think we can really play anyone on Washington. And just kind of looking at the injury report, it's Denny, it's Beal, it's Kyle Kuzma, Morris, and Porzingis are out. But with that, all their prices are pretty high. Their ownerships are pretty low. I would say Jay Huff was a player that we were on that he wasn't chalk, right? On the slate, like he
actually only ended up
low, and then he wasn't chalk, right?
Yeah, he only ended up like less than 25% on that slate. You didn't need him, but he was great if you did have him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, are we looking at him again today just at 1%? Like that seems too low.
It does seem too low. I'm sure that has more to do with the other plays on the slate rather than Jay Huff, because I have Jay Huff as a good play today, but the problem is he's center only, so that
makes sense. And people might be scared off. I'm pulling up kind of just the DraftKings side of it. They see that second rating and they might be scared off with it, but we just got to remember that they're going up against a bunch of backups tonight. So if he's going to get 30 minutes against Miami's backups, like he should still be able to, get to around 30 fantasy points.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to note, he's been extremely efficient. The shooting percentages are not going to keep up, but I mean, it's a 2-game sample. It's what we have, and I think he's a good fantasy producer. So if he shows up in my lineups, I'm fine with it. It's just who else can be in the center spot instead of him is the consideration.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Any love for like Nunn or anyone like that? They're all coming in pretty low on any leverage spots here.
Just one thing, I don't know why Delon Wright would really play tonight. And so if he's playing, then I'm not sure I'm that interested in anyone. If he's out, then even at these prices, Goodwin and Davis can be GPP plays, just one more person out of the rotation. And then Kendrick Nunn, I thought he didn't deserve any ownership. Well, he deserves some ownership, but he was way too owned the other night. Now his price is up again. If he's starting, maybe we can consider him. But I mean, for the most part, I'm just not that interested in this game.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So we'll go ahead and move on. Let's get into Houston versus Charlotte there. Not too much on Houston. I mean, nothing really. And I think that game could be a sneaky game stack game if you're trying to just go in on a game, maybe just trying to cash. But looking at Charlotte, they're going to be without all the same players that we've kind of come to expect lately. Are we prioritizing anyone in this game?
I don't think we're prioritizing anyone, but I do like them as tournament targets. I talked about saving spots. It's the first game. But if we're playing the not value guys like KPJ, Sengun, maybe Jalen Green, I like getting to these guys a little bit from the Houston side.
Yeah, and I'll pull up Houston here as well. The reason I kind of like it is because none of them are pulling in like extreme chalk. So it could be kind of a sneaky little game. And, we kind of mentioned this a few times. Don't really love to try to game stack. I would say on 11 game slate where there is some uncertainty, this is like the only spot in which I feel like we have some clarity. So if you go KPJ, Sangoon, even Green and Smith, like you're raising your floor. But it's not a GPP winning strategy, but it'd be, trying to cash strategy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Any love for, I don't want to butcher his last name, Svi?
At his price, it's just what are we hoping happens at this point? I don't know.
Yeah.
He's 6,800 on DraftKings. He has to put up 40 plus for him to help us win a GPP today.
Mhm.
It's possible. We saw him do it last week, but
Yeah.
there's better spots to get to, I think, than him.
If Dennis Smith Jr. is ruled out, are we looking at him or Theo at all?
That's the problem with Theo too. His price is way up there.
Mhm.
Even at 7K though, if he's going to get close to 40 minutes or 35 plus minutes,
Right.
I mean, we can consider him, but then again, kind of the same thing. There's probably going to be someone better at a similar price point later.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I agree. So Philly. Philly is going to be without Embiid, Harden, Tucker, and Melton's currently a game time decision. So is Tobias Harris, but it's kind of looking like Harris is going to play.
Mm-hmm.
What are we looking at in that game?
If Paul Reed starts, we're very interested in Paul Reed. There's something about Montrezl Harrell too, but we've seen Paul Reed is a guy who is a much better fantasy producer, and I think Doc Rivers likes him more. Doc Rivers doesn't really like Montrezl. And Shake Milton is the other big spot. Shake Milton is probably the top of the core list right now. I think he's number one on who we should be starting our lineups with.
Yep. Let me just sort by just overall value real quick. I think he's the top value. He is. Okay. And he's only coming in at 30% projected own. That seems way too. I mean, it's 11 game slate. We're going to have a lot of value. I get that. But it seems kind of low for the production that he's had in this exact same situation.
Yeah. If he comes in that low own, that's fantastic. I would be absolutely shocked if he did. He's going to be the chalk today. I'm pretty sure. Once they announce that starting lineup anyway, people should have their stuff adjusted so that he's starting anyway. There's no other options for them to start at point guard.
Yeah. What about Harris? If he plays, can he put up 40? Will he put up 40? I guess.
I think he can, because the thing is, everyone else is sitting, and so with Harrison, I have to assume that Doc is going to run him full minutes. It doesn't make sense to sit everyone else and only let Tobias Harris run like 25 minutes. And so, I mean, he should feel like he's going to, this is an opportunity for him to have a big game. His price is really good for everyone else being out.
Yeah.
The ownership's a little bit high, I think, when I saw it earlier, but I think he's probably one of the better plays in that 6K range today.
Yeah. And then lastly, if Reed doesn't start and it's Deadman, any love for him at 4.3 or just staying away from him as well?
If Reed doesn't start, I think I'm just going to avoid the situation and just mostly get to Shake Milton and it's probably Tobias too. But I'll probably avoid the center situation if it's anyone but Reed starting.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense there. Is it worth mentioning? I guess we'll just go over Boston real quick. Don't have to probably dive into it too much, but looking at right now, we know that Brown is out. We know that Smart and White are game time decisions. I'd say the easy take would be if those two players are out, Smart and White were just going in on Malcolm Brogdon and maybe Tatum. Other than that, probably just staying away.
Yeah, for me, so Tatum looks like he was the chalk earlier. Let me refresh my model, see where we're at. But if he's still the chalk stud, I'd prefer to get away from him. Just there's a lot of options on this slate. Like Tatum's an obvious play. He's probably going to be one of the better studs, so you should still play him. But
Yeah.
I think that the other options are going to give us a better chance to win a GPP or combine the other options with Tatum. And then, yeah, Malcolm Brogdon's going to be awesome if the other two guards are out.
So I believe the Bucks clinched the first seed last night or two, whatever. Does Boston have anything to play for, like second seed wise or anything? Because like my question would be, are we worried about Tatum's minutes at all being like maybe just 28, not really playing in the fourth?
Oh, we're definitely worried. I don't know why Tatum's playing at all. I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure 1 through 5 in the East is already set. And then the 6th seed was supposed to be Brooklyn and Miami tonight, but Miami, like something about Miami just conceded. They're sitting their guys, so Miami's probably going to end up as, or maybe they're playing for the 6th seed or whatever it is. But yeah, even those guys already kind of gave up. So,
And then I guess does Toronto have anything to play for? Just the playing game, or what are
yeah,
they?
I think Toronto might. I can't remember exactly. They need to win one of their games. I don't know how big of an impact tonight's game specifically has, but they want to win. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we just try to look at some Toronto players a little bit more in the sense that we know that the minutes are going to be there. We know they're trying to win, I guess.
And that was a good point you made about Tatum. Like his ownership, if it stays that high, what if he gets benched at halftime? It's a disaster.
Right. And like, sure, he could get there, but it's Toronto as well. It's not like it's a pushover team that's sitting their starters. Like Toronto's playing their starters. So if his minutes are limited at all, it's going to be tough to get there.
Even at that 20%, I mean, if you have leverage on 20% of the field, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. Let's see here. Orlando. This could be a big spot, I think, tonight. Were you on Boble at all last night?
I only made one lineup yesterday, and I was not on Boble. No.
Okay. What about tonight? Are you thinking about being on him tonight? He's coming in pretty chalk. That's kind of why I'm wondering.
Yeah, the power forward eligibility on DraftKings, I kind of get why his ownership is there. It should. I don't know. It just depends what other value we have before lock. But as of right now, I have a bunch of Boble in my stuff. He looks great.
And then any love for any of the other players? I mean, we know Carter's out, and we know the other Wagner's out. It kind of seemed like Banchero was going to sit, Fultz was going to sit, Harris was going to sit, and Wagner were going to sit as well. Would we be looking at anyone else? Because if those players sit, to me, I think we're going in on Cole Anthony and probably Jalen Suggs. What are your kind of thoughts there?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Jalen Suggs is going to be the number one, assuming he's in the starting lineup again. The problem with Cole Anthony is I'm pretty sure they said he was going to play yesterday, and then he either I don't know if I don't think he got on the court at all. And so that's the risk with playing Cole Anthony, or maybe he didn't play a lot.
Yeah,
just something with Cole Anthony yesterday. They lied to us.
I guess I didn't catch that. Let me see if like the DraftKings report has that.
Yeah, I might be mistaken, but I saw people tilting about it. I didn't keep up too much with the games yesterday, so.
Well, it's just a lot to keep up with, you know. Yeah, it looks like he didn't play at all.
Yeah, so that's the DMP risk. Even if they say he's in, they said he was in last time. He was going to be in his normal role off the bench. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
And so the other player, Shuma Okiki, at the min price at no ownership, especially if he's starting, that's a great GPP play. This is a guy I was targeting a lot at the end of last season. He didn't really get much better this season, I don't think. So I don't know. It's a great spot for him though, min price, especially if he's starting and he stays at low ownership.
I'm looking at his game log. It's crazy. 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals, 3 fouls, 1 turnover, 2 points, 1 for 6. So it's like he can't shoot that bad again, but he's also not going to get 2 blocks and 3 steals again. It's a interesting game log. I don't mind that play though. Min price, like if he does what he did last night, more than happy with it.
It's a little different than last season when I was targeting because I don't know, he would come in and he could start to kind of take over a game, but maybe it's the players around him that don't enable him to do that anymore. But he was a player who, if we played him in price, he got there in the first quarter sometimes. So just a good GPP play at low ownership.
I feel like players like that, they kind of just fall into their role. They kind of know who they are and just, I don't know, like they just don't give as much effort in their reps as much and whatnot. I don't know. Just like they don't improve because they're just not, they know who they are as a player.
I mean, if it's me, I'm just, especially with the opportunity tonight, I'm going out there and I'm going to make another 10 on my next contract.
Yeah, that's very true. What about the Orlando Magic bigs other than Bol Bar? Are we looking at anyone else there?
It's going to be tough.
Goga, I believe that's how you say his name. Coming in at 3.3. He's been playing around 20 minutes, scoring around 20 DraftKings points. To me, he looks like a decent center play, but like, I don't know, his ownership isn't coming in that high. 9% projected to get 21 minutes again. Like, seems like a good center value.
I like Goga in general for DFS when he's basically min price. I think I don't like 9% is not that high, but I prefer Goga when he's sub 5% when, you know, we take the risk and he gets there and we just have that leverage. He's probably still fine to get to. We'll see who's starting. He's going to play the 20 minutes and at that price, he's fine.
So far, it seems like our kind of core would be Milton and Suggs.
If Suggs
had
is
to make
starting,
a core,
yeah, I think so.
So Brooklyn's going to be playing their starters. It looks like, which is kind of strange. Were their minutes changed at all in the last game? I think they played all their normal minutes.
As far as I know, they did.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is just weird. And if they're going to be playing 36 minutes against Orlando's backups, like that is kind of appealing to me. I'm just going to pull up their ownerships real quick. All coming in pretty low owned. Like another situation in which if the minutes are there, that could be a little bit of a stacking opportunity to raise the floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Brooklyn wants to win, so they don't have to worry about the play-in. And so I think the minutes are okay. Mikal Bridges' price came up, but I still think he's a good GPP play, and same with Spencer Dinwiddie. His price came down a little bit even. Nick Claxton GPP play and Cam Johnson GPP play. I don't really like getting to the other guys with the other value we're going to have today.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. All right, so we'll go ahead and switch up into the Knicks game. The Knicks open up a lot of value, really kind of the past two games, but it was kind of like game time decision stuff that was like ruled out a little bit before lineup lock. Now it's a little bit different because we do know that Randall's going to be out. We know that Mitchell Robinson's going to be out, and we know that Jalen Brunson's going to be out. The game time decision that we're waiting on is actually impactful. I would say RJ Barrett currently a game time decision. First, are you operating under the assumption that he's going to play or not play, or just don't know?
RJ Barrett's one of the players. I have no idea. I don't have a lean on it.
Yeah. Okay. I guess if he sits, are we going in on like quickly a little bit more than we maybe would be on FanDuel? I don't think we can touch him on DraftKings.
So I think that he's still a GPP play, even on DraftKings at that price. Just because he's like I saw some of the aggregates earlier, and I think his projection is kind of low. People aren't going to get there, and he has 50 plus upside.
He does.
You know, we're talking about less than 10% of your lineups with quickly, but I think he's still a GPP play.
Okay.
Quentin Grimes is the guy I'm going to avoid. I mean, that was bizarre what he did last game. Good for him, though. Great game.
Any love for Josh Hart then, or probably not?
So I didn't like Josh Hart last time, but he got there, didn't he? And the minutes are safe. The Knicks are really good. Their Knicks are a much better team with Josh Hart on the court. It's just, you know, how much does that translate to fantasy value? Because even with the other guys out, is Josh Hart really going to take 17 shots tonight? Like, no, he doesn't even take 10. Yeah. And so the rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, they're great. Yeah, I think he's fine. At no ownership, I'm gonna take some shots on Josh Hart.
Honestly, if I don't even know if this is available, but this might be a better like prop type of thing where you go and see like rebounds and assists, see where it's at. If it's honestly below, let's say probably 7.5 for rebounds and I don't know 4.5 for assists, like I'd probably bet the over there, but that's really it for Hart. What about Obi Toppin or Toppin? Because he's been getting the minutes. It's always been about the minutes, and he's finally getting the minutes now.
I like him tonight, even at this elevated price. If it keeps his ownership down, I'm pretty sure his ownership was like absurdly low when I checked it earlier. And I'm going to get to a lot of Obi Toppin today. I think he's great. No Mitchell Robinson. He's going to play them like 43 minutes. If we get 43 minutes out of a 6K Obi Toppin, he's one of the better plays on the slate with power forward eligibility.
Yeah, it's like literally could be getting most likely. I don't want to say most likely, but if we do get 36 minutes, like 40 DraftKings points out of him. What's his price on FanDuel? The same. Like, and he's low owned on both.
Mm-hmm. It's going to go up. Something, I'm not sure why it's so low right now, but maybe it's the same thing with Quickly where other sites aren't going to get to him. So his ownership's just going to be so low, making him a top tournament play. And if Hartenstein's there too, no Mitchell Robinson, so the minutes should be a little more secure. He's another option too. I think you can play both of them together.
Okay. Against the Pels too, not worried about that matchup at all because they're going to be playing. It looks like all their starters.
Mm-hmm. Obi is the priority, but just Hartenstein is an option.
I guess my question here would be, like, how do we get to Hartenstein when we have Huff at a lower price, Zeller, Reed, Bol, and Goga? I'm honestly asking that. Just like, does he outproduce? What are the chances of that happening? I guess
it's pretty low. You're right. It's probably a play if the other guys pull a bunch more ownership and Hartenstein comes in at like 1% or something. Okay. But in the other circumstances, what you just said is more correct than what I said.
No, that makes sense though. If he is like literally low owned and those guys become chalk, then it is not a bad pivot. He's actually higher owned than some of those guys, which is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, he's fine. Power forward on FanDuel.
That makes sense. Okay, that makes sense on FanDuel because you got both positions. What about? Do we have to touch on Memphis? They've had all the same players out. Should we just go to Milwaukee?
Well, before we go, I just wanted to the Pelicans. I think Brandon Ingram is still a GPP play.
Okay.
Not that interested in anyone else on this team, but even at this super high price tag, they want to win. They have to win, and so if we're getting to these studs, even CJ and Jonas at a low percentage, I think they're in play.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more intrigued on those two, Jonas and CJ, a little bit more just because lower price. We're chasing the upside, right?
Way lower ownership compared to Brandon too.
Mm-hmm. All right, now we'll switch up and get into the Bucks. The Bucks are kind of fun tonight. As a Bucks fan, I don't know. I kind of always like these games a little bit more. So we know that they're going to be without Allen, Giannis, Connaughton, Drew, Brooke, and Middleton. So with that, my honest biggest question here is like, is Bobby Portis actually going to get 32 minutes? Like, because he is essentially a starter. Like, why would they give him minutes when they're pulling all the starters? I don't know. He's been playing well. Do you think he's going to get 32 minutes? That's my biggest question.
I wouldn't be surprised. The thing is, even if they run him for a few extra minutes, he's not someone who's going to be expected to play 30 plus in the playoffs. And, I think the point of resting the other guys is kind of so that they can get ready to play 30 plus every game in the playoffs, 35 plus for the starters. And with Bobby Portis, I kind of think it's just, this is the best player we have available today. We're going to go out and let him run for 30 plus minutes. He's going to take every shot that he wants. His price is a little bit high. His ownership's a little bit high, but I think he's a pretty strong play today. He's he's borderline core.
Yeah. Okay. That's why I asked it. And then we see on this, like the OF model right here, the minutes are extremely spread out here. I don't know if that's actually going to be true. We kind of have to see. They're all pretty much spread out, but as we saw with, I guess, what was the Portland game last night? Like that could happen where everyone just gets like 25 minutes and then it kind of just makes everyone just a okay play, not a great play. I kind of, and I don't like the price point. I kind of like AJ Green a little bit. Miles Turner's interesting if he gets more than 18 minutes. Like those two players I could see getting 25 minutes or so. And then like even Beauchamp as well. Like those are some interesting plays. And then we got Javon Carter, who maybe a little bit too priced up, but like could be interesting. And like even Giannis, like if he gets more than 12 minutes, a great GPP play. There's kind of just a lot of good upside GPP plays here, I feel like.
It's almost too much because they're so similar. Like their range of outcomes is similar, the price, like the type of player they are.
Yeah.
And so we can get to some of these guys. I don't know which one specifically. Look at the starting lineup, but if we're getting to a couple of these role players, we probably want to be getting to a couple of these role players. They're going to play minutes tonight for low price.
I don't want to say like we would want to set a priority to have like two of them, but maybe honestly just like one of these values, because like one of them are going to go off. It just seems like it's going to be tough to predict which one, but it's one of those situations where if you're entering a lot of lineups, like it kind of makes sense. And maybe not, like maybe it's just Carter going off and Bobby Portis going off. I can definitely see that happening, but at the same time, they all just seem too cheap. But I kind of glanced over Carter. Are you prioritizing him? He's pulling in a lot of chalk as well. We saw earlier on this season, Carter was dominating with, everyone out as well.
What is his? He's 6K. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Carter is actually showing up for me. I didn't realize he was 6K and he's still showing up in my stuff. I think the price is too high, but if he's going to start and has the potential to play 35 minutes tonight, then yeah, just watch the ownership, I think.
So I have the game log pulled up from kind of the similar situation. Mm-hmm. I believe it was like, I don't know, 8 or so games where the Bucks were just banged up, not playing their players. I'll just read it off. 26, 23, 62, 35, 30, 34. That was kind of his run of DraftKings points. So like literally the only game in which he extremely outproduced this price point was against OKC for one, and he went 462.
And he took 30 shots that game, and he doesn't take 10 shots most games.
Yeah, he was just hot shooting the basketball. I remember watching that. He just could not miss, and he obviously ended up starting to miss. But
yeah, I mean GPP play, right? Do you think you're going to get there much?
I think if he's coming in at 33 on FanDuel, no, but he is 5.2, so it does make it easier. And even at 14%, that still feels a little bit too high, but only probably like 3% too high. I guess it comes down to ownership. I would say 14 is probably right, but I could see people just going crazy with the ownership as the night progresses, because Portis is pulling in that much. I kind of would expect Carter to get bumped up a little bit too.
Yeah, I'm right with the field on Carter right now. I'm okay with it.
Okay, makes sense. Let's see here. The Bulls. It's every team. The Bulls are going to be without DeMar DeRozan, Patrick Beverly, and Zach LaVine. Vooch is starting apparently, which once again is just like weird. Like, why would they start Vooch and sit the other two?
I have no idea. This team is kind of a disaster season. Even if Vooch plays, like, are we playing Vooch that much? Because is he really going to go out and just start taking over with Levine and DeMar out? We've seen the situation before, and the answer is not really. Obviously, he has more potential, but there's a lot of other plays today. I think we want to get to the role players and see who starts in place of the other guys.
So would it be Colby White right now or like AO?
I think it's Kobe White. Did AO? Because AO had a minutes restriction. I haven't been keeping up with him to know if that's been lifted. So the only thing with him is I'd be worried about the minutes being capped.
We haven't projected at 29, but even still, like we would want to know if he's going to get more than that or not.
If he gets 29, that seems great. But yeah, I mean, he's nowhere close to that, right? In the past few games.
Not lately. 24 was the highest lately.
Yeah, I thought. Okay, so what I remember is that he was on a minutes limit, like 24 was the max. And so if he gets up to 24 tonight, I still don't love him.
Yeah. Like, I honestly, I kind of just mentioned those Bucks players who are being undervalued. Like, I don't know. I'd rather
go to them. Yeah, I'd rather get to those Bucks guys too.
Kobe White at 5K, like, he's been productive in some games and a little bit hit or miss, but like if he's getting, let's say 36, 33 minutes, is this just too low of a price tag even against Dallas?
Yeah, this is the type of player I'd like to take GPP shots on. He's going to be the primary ball handler today, and we know that he can heat up. So I talk about like other guys aren't going to all of a sudden step into a role where they take 15 to 20 shots. Kobe White could.
Yeah, and then Patrick Williams as well. Any love for him?
I don't know. Yeah. This guy I've been off and on all year. Like sometimes I really like him, and sometimes I just, why did I even consider playing him tonight? And so I think he's a GPP play. His ownership's low. 4,500 on DraftKings seems great. But yeah, he's not the type of player who's going to put up 15 shots tonight unless he starts off really hot. So just keep that in mind versus the other role players.
Okay, that makes sense. So not really anyone here. Like we're not targeting Derek Jones at a low price. Like he kind of just is who he is, a dunker, and that's kind of it.
There was one person on this roster though on the bench. Was it Dalen Terry? So Dalen Terry's pulling a little bit of ownership, and I don't know who this is, but I don't know if he's predicted to get some playing time. The model has him in here as a play at the flat min on DraftKings. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to do with him. Do you know about him?
I'm trying to remember. Like I see that he was on the G League, obviously. I don't recall him from like All-Star Weekend. I remember kind of I did a little bit of a deep dive of like the G League players then. I don't recall him playing in that game. I could be wrong, but
and like it's a super long shot. I don't know if we're gonna actually play him, but just consider maybe he takes a couple minutes from Pat Williams or one of the other guys. I don't know. He's pulling ownership, so I don't know.
He is. That's the thing. Like it's you can find this exact same play as him at lower owner. It's just like people are taking stabs at good G League players, and I would say like we can find probably this exact same play elsewhere. And I think maybe in some situations we already did.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. And Josh Gillum in the chat said Drummond to lock if Vooch sits. I will take some shots on Drummond even if Vooch plays. Just what if Vooch has his minutes reduced? Maybe he doesn't play the second half. I think Andre Drummond is a pretty good. He's a GPP play tonight at like what 1 or 2% ownership.
Yeah, 1%. I like both those calls. If he gets 10 more minutes than he's projected to get, could easily go off and kind of break the slate.
And that's even considering all the other good center plays we're probably going to get. Andre Drummond is still a good fantasy producer if he's on the court.
Yeah, no, I like that call. And like, who cares if he gets minutes, right? Like, it's not like, give him some minutes.
Yeah, right.
So Dallas on the other side of it. So first of all, what are your kind of just thoughts on Dallas in general right now?
I feel so bad for them. And Mark Cuban comes out talking about we're trying to re-sign Kyrie. Like Jason Kidd is definitely our coach. And I think that Kyrie on this team is an absolute disaster next to Luka. I think Jason Kidd's one of the not great coaches in the NBA. It's just he hasn't adjusted for the players he has, and he was a good coach before because the players fit his scheme, but now they don't. And this team is just so bad. Even Luka tonight, this is the lowest projection I've ever seen him have since he's become a star. And so that was the one player I was interested in. If Jaden Hardy starts for Kyrie, then we're going to be interested in him. His price is too cheap on DraftKings.
So Luka's pulling in 40% projected ownership. Are you fading him then?
Oh my goodness. Compared to that 40%, I'm nowhere close to that right now.
Is it just a situation in which, oh, we have so much value? Oh, Luka's like the only one we can project to get a lot of minutes. Let's just play him, right?
It's probably, yeah, that's going to have a lot to do with it. Kind of, we have all the salary. Let's just jam in the highest guy. But
yeah,
I have Luka is not a good play today. So the model likes him. I don't know.
How much does it like him? I'm curious. Top play, but if you look at price point wise, it's actually AD, Curry, like everyone else is a better price point play than him. It's definitely interesting there. And they're all coming in significantly lower owned, like at least half lower owned.
Yeah, even Jay Tatum. I'm just going to try to mix it up with the other guys. I'm going to have some Luka, maybe. I have 0 Luka as it is right now. I'm probably going to change that to try to force a little bit in. I don't know. If I'm Luka, I feel like he's been so frustrated. Why wouldn't you just go out and try to drop a 70-point triple-double? But it's asking a lot. So
at this price, though, 12.4 on DraftKings, like we're hoping for, if you're playing him, you're hoping for 68.
At least, yeah.
Yeah. At that ownership, too. I guess we got to take that into consideration.
Yeah, it's just not a night I'm a big fan of Luka.
I would say on FanDuel, 11.8, point guard, shooting guard, it's much more logical to get there.
Yeah, FanDuel, it's a little bit different play. But DraftKings, I don't know.
That's wild.
I'd rather play Jaden Hardy at less than half the price.
Yeah, so Jaden Hardy's coming in at 34% projected own, coming in as one of the best values on the slate. Are we worried about that ownership at all, or we're just saying that's too low? We just need to go in on him now.
I think that his minutes are secure based on what we saw the past few games with Kyrie out, and his price is cheap. He's a good basketball player. He's going to put up shots, so I like it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Any McGee or anything like that with Christian Wood out as well? I felt the need to ask. I just, there's a lot of injuries here.
Yeah, we can consider him, I guess. Him and Dwight Powell. Like, someone has to play big man, especially if Vooch or Drummond's going to be on the court. Even off the bench, they can't run. I don't know. Like, I don't even know who would be the guy if it's not JaVale or Dwight Powell in at center.
Morris. Yeah,
that's the guy I was looking at. I was like, they're not playing Markieff Morris though right now. I don't think.
Right.
But
right. Yeah. No.
I don't know. This team I think Hardy and Luka are the main guys that we're interested in here.
Do they have anyone they can call up? Honestly, shoot, that's crazy.
It's a disaster. Sorry if you're a Mavs fan.
Yeah, it honestly feel bad there. We'll move on to the Kings, but they're going to be difficult. As far as I see, everyone on the Kings, their game time decisions, has that changed?
No, since the beginning of the show, maybe I just pulled up my stuff and everyone is Q tag except for Harrison Barnes.
Terrible. So there could be extreme value here. There really could be. We just don't know.
They're locked into their playoff spot. They have nothing to play for. It makes sense if they rest the starters. Maybe Malik Monk since he's playing a lot off the bench, but
yeah,
we really have to see. Like Davion Mitchell and Trey Lyles would become pretty good plays if everyone else is out at their price tags. Davion's frustrating, but if he starts, I mean, we have to know who's out. Whoever's in is probably going to look good because I think all their prices are fine. And then Terrence Davis, someone we consider too.
I would say anyone. So I have it pulled up right now. Anyone below Malik Monk, I'd be fine with if they are starting and getting minutes, like just at their price tags. It'd be Monk, Lyles, Len, Mitchell, even Edwards. Like if they're starting and getting 30 minutes, would be fine with them.
Yeah, I know I want more ownership to this team overall than they're showing right now.
And so this is literally what you were saying earlier about the earlier value that's available on the slate. It's just like we have games like this where there could be better value that opens up later. And so it does make sense to maybe prioritize a little bit later than some of the earlier value that's okay, but not perfect.
Well, the Suns-Lakers game is after this game too, and the Suns are a team that I'm going to be on heavy today. So that was another, like the Suns and Kings, two teams that we want to save those spots for.
For sure. So yeah, we'll pivot into the Phoenix Suns. While I'm doing that, you just want to give them the call out for the Discord chat as well.
Oh yeah, join the Discord. Look in the description of this video, and yeah, get access to tonight's live NBA DFS Q&A stream. Join the Discord. There's the instructions right there in the link. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel, or you can use Twitch Prime on Twitch and get access to the Discord, and then see how great the Discord is, the community is. Join the Occupy website so you get access to the updated model before lock, and you should do pretty well.
I like it. Very good. So, yes, looking at Phoenix here. Campaign pulling in so much ownership. What do we do with Campaign?
I think we have to play him. He regressed. He was a player who was not supposed to be in the NBA, and then he played like he was one of the best backup point guards in the NBA, and now I don't know. He's a good backup, but nothing more. If he starts at this price, we're playing all the Campaign.
So right now, we kind of have it as Suggs, Milton, Payne as kind of like the studs. 3 guards, we're fine with that, right? I mean, I think Suggs is shooting guard eligible, so we should be fine.
Yeah, those are 3 of my 2 top guys on DraftKings right now are Milton and Campaign. Third is Bobby Portis. 4th is Jaden Hardy.
I think. All right, I'm just going to put those guys in right now, just real quick. But go ahead. Sorry.
So one thing, if you're playing all these 3 guys, you're not getting to a pay up guard because these guys are taking up all of your spots. And so that's one thing to consider. These are the best value plays. We should be playing a lot of them. But if you elect to fade one of them, or, the builder gives you a lineup that only has 2 of them maybe, and you get to another pay up guard, your lineup construction is going to be different than the majority of the field. So you're going to have to do less to get different. Like, you can probably play whoever you want today and not have to worry about being duped in a big GPP or anything like that, just because there's so many games, there's so many options. But it's just one consideration that all the pay up guards are going to be lower owned probably than they should, just since everyone's going to go cheap at guard. And that kind of means that the pay ups at the other positions are going to be a little over owned maybe.
Well, that's a very good point there too. I'm putting in the lineup real quick, just switching the early night. No, but that's a really good point there. It will be very difficult to dupe a lineup, even if like the studs that we're paying up for, like we don't love either. So I could see people just like kind of being more random with it too.
Yeah. And even if you're looking at like overall ownership percentages, like, oh, it seems kind of high, I don't think it matters today. Player guys have a low owned guy or 2 and you're good.
And so, like, there's a bunch of other low-owned guys from Phoenix here. Like, we could go Josh Okogie there. We could go Bismack Biyombo, Terrence Ross, Torrey Craig. I mean, they're all very low-owned, and they're all projected to get some minutes. Is this kind of like with the Bucks, where it's just like we have the one extreme chalk, and then we have a lot of decent price point plays that maybe we don't know exactly which one it's going to be, but we know we want some exposures.
Yeah, what I'm doing, I'm just going to bump up this whole team so that I'm overexposed to them at lock, and then that will save my roster spots for the other news that pops up. I can swap to them, and then by the time we get the Phoenix starting lineup, I mean, it's probably going to be like Campaign, Josh Okogie, Torrey Craig, Landry Shamet, and Bismack Biyombo. If I had to guess, maybe Terrence Ross is in there somehow, but they're all going to be good, if not great value plays at that point.
Yeah, no, that's a very good way to go about doing it because, I mean, we've mentioned it now a few times, just late night values out there. We just need to figure out which players it's going to be. Is this game at the same time as the Kings as well? Like, could we just pivot to Kings players, or is this one a little bit later?
It's a half hour later, so we should have the Phoenix starting lineup before the Kings game starts. And so that is another thing. I would get your lineup set before the Kings game. Don't try to like change the Phoenix stuff because we're not going to have enough options after that. Great night slate tonight too with these last two games.
It is. It's a fun one. So much injury news. Yeah. I guess Warriors are they going to get a lot of minutes? Their starters.
Warriors want to win too, so I actually am a fan of Steph Curry tonight, and then the other guys I'll tournament play still.
Okay, perfect.
Especially against the Kings.
Yeah, I mean the Kings and their backups, like they should all be able to get there. And then what about the Lakers? So like AD game time decision, LeBron game time decision. We're just waiting for that news as well.
So most of the season, when these guys are Q tags, we just assume they play, but it's a little different because they had the overtime game and then they played the back-to-back also. And Phoenix has no one, so I would not be surprised if one of them sat, maybe both of them sit. But again, that's news we're going to get later. If they're out, Austin Reeves' price is way up there, but his minutes are pretty much there. Like, he's playing 30 minutes every game. His price is high. Deep GPP play, I guess. Dennis Schroeder, I'm going to be a big fan of if D'Angelo Russell is out. And then just whoever starts, I guess. Prices are cheap if the stars are out. That they don't look great though individually. These players, right? Like Jared Vanderbilt, Rui, Malik Beasley, they don't look awesome, but they're going to have an increased role if the stars are out and they're pulling no ownership tonight.
Just as an FY, Reeves is 5.8 on FanDuel and like 2%. So like he would be a lock there if we do get that news that AD and LeBron are sitting.
Oh yeah, Reeves will be in my FanDuel core probably.
And like, who can we pivot to from there? Let's just say they're active. Like, who on Phoenix is at that price? They probably no one, I guess. Maybe the Kings we could pivot to.
The small forward position.
That's tough. Yeah, maybe Barnes. We could probably just go to the Warriors then. Just try to get lucky with one of them. Green or someone, Clay.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I would. The way I'm going to set up my stuff, I'll probably have a couple of roster spots, so I should be able to do a 2v2 rather than just swap Austin Reeves out. But I mean, that depends on what you guys are doing out there.
Yeah, I like that. So I'm just looking over the chat now too, because we kind of went through all the injuries. I think we did it probably our best job breaking down the injuries.
Yeah.
Pat Williams ? Yeah, not loving him. And then just some comments. So yeah, just kind of looking at this first look build. Just try to finish it off, and we'll get into the chucks and stuff after that. Small forward, I've got an average salary of 8.3 left over. There's a lot of stuff to make work with this. That's kind of the point we were making throughout this video. Jaren Jackson, he's a power forward. Like, can he go off? John Morant's active. I don't know.
Yeah, Memphis, I'm not sure about. Jaren Jackson, at least, we know he gets there in less than 30 minutes. He averages like 28 on the season, so he's probably fine, even if we're worried about them not playing their starters, but tournament play.
I'm going to go with Obi there, the power forwards, center spot, or just forward for now. And then if we get a center, yeah, it's solid. Let's look at the centers. So I'm trying to figure out who we should prioritize. Should it be Huff, Zeller, Goga, Bol, maybe Miles Turner or Miles Leonard? Like, there's just so much value that's out there, and people are listening to this that just joined and like, what the heck is he talking about?
Yeah, I haven't heard of half of these players.
If Anthony Davis clicked off when they heard that, they're like, this.
Yeah, like I tried a new show. What are these guys on? So Anthony Davis looks like a pretty good pay up if everyone's going to go cheaper at guard. I kind of think if it was another player, I would think their ownership would be higher. But since it's Anthony Davis, maybe people are hesitant. But he looks like a pretty good pay up at center.
The issue with that, if he sits, it's just that lineup's dead.
Yeah, it's a disaster if he sits. You're right. Like DeMantis is there in the game before. If we get that news before the Kings game, $400 difference. So there is a possible pivot, but he's questionable too. So we might just be super screwed if they both sit. Like the build I have now, I'm going cheap at center. Like Portis, Sengun, and DeMantis are really the only centers showing up, not named Bol, Goga. I'm getting a little bit of Andre Drummond, but Portis and Bol are the two main guys I'm getting at center right now.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned Miles Leonard. Like, do we really need to get to him? Like, I do think he gets 20 DraftKings points tonight, but is that enough? Because I do think he's going to get more minutes than he's projected to get. Is that really enough? Like, yeah. I guess
what
I'm hoping for is he shoots like 4 3 balls and makes 3 of them, and then just has like 8 rebounds. Like, that's what I'd be hoping for, you know?
Yeah, it gets that last 6 minutes in a blowout too.
Exactly. Like, but like, is Goga just like the easier one, or do we just pay out for Bol at this point?
I'm gonna have more Bol, but I like your call on Goga a little bit. So I'm definitely he's actually showing up for me. I'm getting more than 10% of Goga in my DraftKings build right now.
Okay, if I do that at 15 left over, it's crazy. That's honestly, I love late season NBA DFS because it's this exact problem. We have so many great low owned plays and great low price plays that the tough part is actually paying out for the studs, where typically it's the other way around.
And everyone watching us, I think this is the best way to start a hand build. Plug in, the chalk value guys cheaper. Even, Bobby Portis is more expensive, but he's chalk. And then you see we have so much salary left over for that last position. We can start to upgrade the other positions. And, that's how we get a little different from the field.
Was Ingram chalk or was it Tatum?
Tatum is chalkier than Ingram. Ingram was actually pulling more ownership than I expected, though, but I like him a lot still.
Okay. And then, this is
5,200.
crazy. I honestly don't know. Like, I don't know where I'd want it. Probably Hardy, honestly, for me. I don't know about you. That's
where's this extra salary gonna go?
I think that's my move, and then I go to Suggs at shooting guard, and then let's see who I have.
We get the Jaw or Steph maybe in that last spot.
Trae Young was actually popping up a decent amount.
We missed. I think we did miss the Hawks, but Trae Young at 8,900, good GPP play at point guard when everyone else is going to go cheap. His ownership is pretty reasonable right now.
And then quickly as well, I do think that kind of is a sneaky play there too.
Yeah, we have the salary to get to whoever we want, so I like it.
That's crazy. I'm gonna go Ja, and then I'd figure out where I want to make it pivot from, because obviously probably just Goga for now, even though Bol just seems like standard play.
Well, that's one thing. If like going from Bol to Batadze in this build lets us fit in Ingram, Morant, Portis, the guys we want, then it's fine. It's
unique
good
enough too, right? Like it's not. It's gonna be tough to do. Okay, so kind of a good, fun little first look build. But let's get into the chucks here real quick.
So it's hard to say anything with certainty because I'm sure there's going to be a much or more appealing tournament play later. But what I have right now is Steph Curry. And then if you want a really deep shot tournament play, I think Andre Drummond is someone to keep an eye on. Maybe pay attention to the news with Vooch. But Steph, the Warriors have to win, and he's not pulling ownership. Easy matchup against Sacramento. They could blow him out, but Warriors are on the road, so they don't really do that.
Yeah, I like that. And the Drummond call is definitely unique because he's going to be low owned because people won't want to play him. And honestly, it just doesn't make sense to give Vooch that many minutes.
Yeah. And then I'm kind of interested in the Rockets. It's tough because they're the first game and it locks up roster spots. But if we're getting to the studs here, KPJ, Sengun, and Jalen Green, I think those guys are all good tournament plays that are going to go under owned.
They should just go off right against Charlotte.
I love it. Yeah, I love the spot for him.
Would it just be those first three or the first five? Like who would it be? Would it just be Porter, Sengun, and Green, or would we go further with Smith and Martin as well?
I'm going to get to Jabari Smith and KJ Martin as well. And it looks like I'm getting 3% Tari Eason, so that's not that much. But KJ Martin and Jabari Smith, I'm getting a few percent more.
And then running it back, just no one because they're all kind of priced up, right?
Yeah, I don't think we have to force a run back here. It's just everyone's so expensive. And if Mark Williams, I guess we could pay attention to the center situation with Mark Williams and Nick Richards. But as of right now, it's not that interesting.
I did get a couple of questions here for Bryce McGowan. Is that how do you say his? I don't know how to say his last name, but gained 30 minutes or so. Finally had a good game last game, 31. That still feels like we'd be forcing it, right? Like there's better plays than that.
Yeah. Okay. So we were talking about Johnny Davis, how Eric called out Johnny Davis last week. We were a couple games ahead of him when he was super cheap. And now look at the price coming up, kind of like Bryce McGowan. So he's a fine play at 5,100, but there's going to be other guys who we can get a game ahead of right now. And there's only a couple games left in the season, but I hope you know what I mean. There's a cheap guy who's going to have a similar role to McGowan, who's probably going to pop up later. And so McGowan's fine, but locks up roster spots from the first game.
Okay. No, that makes sense. I was just kind of wondering just with Houston, obviously stack.
Mm-hmm.
And then if anyone has any questions, make sure to get them in because we're probably about to close up here in about a minute, probably.
Yeah, I didn't realize we've already been going for an hour. A lot of good NBA stuff going today.
Dude, this was a fun slate to break down. I love the game theory. I don't know. I hate the slates that are just like, here are the top plays. That they're the top plays because they just are, like great matchup and stuff. It's fun to be able to break it down like this.
Oh yeah, I agree. I'm just trying to see if there's any other guys that maybe we missed, but I think we covered everything.
Yeah, I'm just sorting by values. Forcan is actually popping up as the best FanDuel value.
That's something to consider. The other Philadelphia guys, if everyone's just going to go to Shake Milton and whoever by default.
And then Jaden McDaniel is actually popping up as a good FanDuel value.
Oh, if he starts, then PJ Tucker's already ruled out. And okay, so if Tobias is ruled out, Jalen McDaniels is probably a top value play. With Tobias in, we still saw Doc hesitant to give Jalen full run. And so if we play him, we're hoping he does well. And I don't think he can get to 28 minutes if Tobias is in, but Doc Rivers is weird. So,
And like we would, if we're going for a secondary like Philly guy, wouldn't it be Paul Reed just hoping for the upside if he's
Paul Reed
starting?
starts, yeah, he's going to be great at center. Good matchup for him too.
God, great matchup. And just throwing it by value for DraftKings, didn't miss anything there. Terrence Ross kind of popping up, but we touched on that.
Yeah, just there's a lot of options, and so don't get too locked into one value play. Obviously, some are better than others, but mix it up. I don't know, have fun.
So I'm gonna tell my like story for this from I don't know, like 7 years ago now, but it was like an exact same slate like this. This is one of the slates that I won. I was entering, I don't know, it was back in college. I just graduated college, had, I don't know, $100 in my account, literally put it all on like the $10 entry. So like 10 lineups. And then I had like $5 left over. So I placed like 3 more contests. And it was literally kind of doing this process where they're all hand built, but it's like I kind of had my core, I was mixing and matching. And kind of the point I'm trying to make is that you can find the top plays and then just kind of get unique with it more and more and more and kind of mix and match. Unfortunately for me, it was the $1 contest that hit, not the $10 one, which was just random. But
don't you love that?
Oh gosh, I'm still like 7 years later, I'm still tilted by it. But like the point I'm trying to make is that like maybe one switch from John Morant to, Curry can be the difference maker. Like it literally can be. Like it's going to be easy to find low owned kind of stud value plays. But if we can also find the studs to pair with it, and that's kind of the more difficult part. It's like you're going to find some low owned value plays. It's finding the pay up studs that are honestly the most difficult part, I would say, on the slate, because the chances of Payne not returning his price point, the chances of Milton not returning his price point, the chances of Suggs not doing that, it's very small, right? It's the other guys, the pay up plays that we're most worried about. And in some situations, like I've seen winning lineups the past few days, like it doesn't even matter if the studs like don't dominate because the values are going off so much.
Like last night.
Yeah, last night, exactly.
Eubanks and Zach Collins.
Dude, Portland was crazy. Skylar Mays getting like what 22 minutes. It's just like, what is going on?
That was painful.
That was painful. But yeah, that's it, guys. We kind of already mentioned the plug. If you guys want access to this, it's honestly kind of huge at this point of the season as well. You can see the minutes, the projections, ownership projections are probably the biggest part at this point in the season because you can fade chalk that probably shouldn't be chalk. And you can put that into the lineup builder as well.
Yeah, if you're hand building tonight, I actually think you're at an advantage because you're not going to get locked into the same plays that a lot of the field is just using the optimizers because the best plays are very obvious tonight. And yeah, like we said, just mix it up.
Okay. That's all, guys. Make sure to be checking the links in the description, Discord chat, and also to sign up. All right. Thanks.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks.